I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast and your voice in my headset. Nora's and I podcast about friendships. And Nora's heard over the last 4 months just so much about Tom and my friendship. She's like, I have got to meet this guy. And I'm like, yeah, we need to do a podcast with him because his stories it's crazy. So, Tom, when you think about the last 20 plus years and years of my friendship, any thoughts that you have about that?
Well, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about it. I guess the big thing is that no matter the distance and time between when we talk and when we don't talk and then we talk again, it's almost like we just talked yesterday. So it's kind of interesting to see how that all kind of comes together. And, so I guess that's one. And I think that I don't have a lot of what I would call close friends. I mean, I know a lot of people, but you were one of those that I would classify as a very close friend.
You know why that is or how that happened?
Yeah, because I think we kind of stretch the boundaries. Conversations we have, for instance, you can sit there and say, well, we're going to have a 15-minute conversation that ends up being an hour and 15 minutes or so, because we seem to connect with each other and we seem to have like the subjects that we come up with, and it gets your brain moving, I guess is the best way to say it. It makes me think about things that most people don't ask me.
So Nora and I are working on that. So her and I's story is a fascinating story. I mean, it's just like you can't, like Nora, you can jump in anytime. Like when Tom and I get on, it seems like he and I just start talking and all of a sudden a whole bunch of people just gather around. But it like Tom and I, it's just like he and I can travel to a distant city and nobody shows up besides Tom and I, and we're okay with that. Like it's okay that just him and I are there. Like, and so Tom, this probably won't surprise you, but I don't know. Nora and I have only known each other for like 4 months, but it seems like a lifetime. And it's
And
just,
why is that, Nora?
I would say it's because we connect on so many different things. And when you said like you can sit down and say, okay, I've got 15 minutes, and then you look and it's like been an hour and a half, like that, that's accurate. And then it seems like it's been 15 minutes. Like it doesn't seem like it's been an hour and a half. So I think it's just like the way that we connected is just really cool. So it's like, I don't think I've ever experienced that before.
Well, I think Mark has that ability to get people to, when they understand and meet him and talk with him and hear his views on things. I think that's what everybody kind of walks away with, is this person's special because he says things that maybe I thought about but have never been able to talk about with anybody else, and get your brain to open up, and then you kind of trigger yourself just to start talking about things you've always wanted to talk about.
Right.
And if I look like I'm looking up, I am. I'm looking at, I put you on a bigger screen so I can see everything.
Nice.
I think it was maybe 3 years ago, Tom, I've wondered about friendships. I mean, when Melissa, I don't know if you'll remember this, but when we were at your house in Southern California, and we were in your truck, and you were in the driver's seat, and Melissa was in the front seat, and I was in the back seat. Oh, she's pregnant again with number 4.
I, I'll tell you the other thing I remember about that trip. That was we were talking about homes and owning our, having our homes paid off, and oh, it's mine. I remember you looking, kind of laughing and going, no, it's not. If you don't pay your property taxes, they're going to come take it and sell it. And it was like, oh my God, I never even thought about it that way. But I remember that trip that came out.
Right? Like, it was fascinating. Like, and it's not an hour and 15 minutes, actually. It's more like 10 hours. Like
Yeah.
like on the trip in Southern California, one of our book trips we had, and I was a little nervous because I'm like, we're not making the financial numbers. I'm like, this guy's gonna drop me. Like, man, he's like, I don't. So I asked, I said, so Tom, I'm just curious, how do you think it's working out with you and I together? And you're like, man, it's awesome. And I'm like, really? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, what's awesome about it? And he's like, and you're like, you are. And I don't get that a lot from I don't get that from anybody. Like, nobody says that. Well, very few people say it. There's not very many. And I said, well, what's awesome? And you're like, I've never met a guy like you, like your brain. Like, I'm like, what does he mean? And you're like, well, at 6 o'clock we have a breakfast and your brain is on fire, and it's 11 o'clock at night and it's still on fire. It's like your brain, it just never stops. And I'm like most people don't like that, Tom.
Well, I guess that's why we're not like most people.
So what I did is, I don't know, 2, 3 years ago, like I asked what I asked you, I said, so Tom, if you're like, if you introduce Melissa to one of your friends, how would you want her to treat, your friends? And you said, you didn't even pause. You just said, well, treat them like she does her friends. I kind of cringed, and I'm like, I don't know. Nothing against you, honey, if you're listening to this podcast. I mean, it's just like sometimes she doesn't maybe treat her friends. I don't know. Anyways, but it was fascinating to me. So I've had this preoccupation with friendship for a long time, like a long time. So I don't know, probably 3 years ago, I'm guessing, I put together this whole website on friendship. Well, I didn't, but somebody interviewed me, and then they put it all together. And they came up with 4 levels of friendship. And so level 1 is you'll like Mark. Level 2 is Mark will irritate you. Level 3 is you'll love Mark. And level 4 is your visions will connect.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And I remember our very first conversation after a year of pursuing you, and you got on, you picked up and said, hey, this is Tom. I'm like, whoa, I can't believe I got, like, wow, that, like, hope I don't mess this up. So we talked, and I said, so what's your life vision? You said, change, real estate, how it's done all around the country. Like, wow, I love real estate, and it's really fun. And that's really a fascinating, I've never heard anybody say that. And you said, what's your life vision? And I said, to touch every single person in the world, one person at a time, make a huge difference in every aspect of their life in a really fun and exciting way. That's 8+ billion people. And you didn't even pause. You said, oh, you'll do that. I said, what do you mean? And you said, oh, you'll do it. I'm like, how do you know? You said, it's in your voice. I can just tell. Nobody had ever done that before. Like, nobody had ever said that before. I mean, there's 2 responses people would give. It's one is like, oh, that's nice. Okay. Or that's impossible. Like, you just like, yeah, no. Like, in the 20 things we had listed that we probably won't get to any of the 20 this time. There's just And there's so much that's happened since the last time we've talked, Tom. Like Life GPS mobile app. Like Nora, Tom and I were stopping at the subway place, and we were driving out in Nashville on the book tour. And Tom's like, has Life Masteries ever thought about putting that personality stuff in a mobile app? I'm like, I've thought about that, Tom. He's like, that would be so cool. And I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, like it happened, and now there's so much in that thing, it's insane.
Hmm.
So
I'll have
Nora's,
to go check it out.
yeah, it's crazy. So Nora's a pilot.
Really? What do you fly?
Just Cessnas for now.
She wants to get her, where she can be a medevac pilot and helicopters.
Oh, wow. That's well, I've only seen medevac in a war zone, and that was a real unsafe thing tried to do. But so my hat's off to you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's part of my life vision. So
what's your life vision?
Well, you'll do it.
What's your life vision, Nora?
healing. So it's and I kind of found that in the whole process of the medevac stuff. So I had a therapist that asked me the one time, if there's anything I could do in the world, money and skill or nothing would matter, what would I choose? And so I grew up Amish, and I just remember like thinking about it for maybe, I don't know, was it 10 seconds? And I said, "Ooh, I would really love to be a pilot." And she's like, like her whole face lit up, and she's like, "You need to do that. You need to do that." And then we discussed it a little bit, whatever, and she brought up the medevac stuff, and she's like, "I really think with kind of the stuff that you've gone through, I think that would be really healing for you to go out and to do that and to be, go out where it's like, life or death for the person." And she said, "I think that would bring a lot of healing for you." And so, yeah, that all kind of tied in. And then talking to Mark, and he's like, I think healing is like, I think you have the gift of healing." And I was like, "Well, that makes sense." I think I do too. So yeah, so that's kind of the backstory on that. So I started, I've had my license now for a year and a half. I had my first flight September 2 years ago. So
Wow.
so yeah, I'm working on my commercial right now. So, and then after my commercial, I'll be going to helicopter.
Well, keep going.
So when she was 15 years old,
Maybe you can command a spaceship.
Right?
Meet Elon Musk and go to and tell him you want to pilot his first craft to Mars.
There you go.
so when she was 15, she's 29 now. When she was 15, she had a vision of sorts, and she thought God was telling her that she was going to adopt a child that was going to be a non-white child. And so 3 years ago, she adopted Lincoln as a little baby black boy. And he's a phenomenal kid.
I have my oldest daughter and her husband tried to have kids when they first got married, and thank God he had a great job and paid all kinds of money to do all that stuff that they do to people who want to have kids and can't. And then they decided just to adopt, and they decided that it didn't matter what race the child was or whatever. So they ended up adopting a little girl whose mother was white, whose father was black. And after about a year or so, they decided that they wanted to adopt again. And this time it was both parents were black. The mother was actually a stripper in Las Vegas. The father, they don't to this day don't know who the father was. And thank God he has thank God he found that family, because the medical issues that he had and they got him when he was, brand new. I mean, freshly born. And, thank God they had the money to be able to do what they needed to do to save this poor kid's life. And he's just turned out to be an unbelievable guy. Then they decided to go on a trip to Hawaii. And guess what happened? They come back and she's pregnant. So now they have another child. So
Nice.
Nice. So Tom, you got what, another 5-6 minutes?
go ahead, and I've got a little bit of time, so go ahead.
So trust the integrity of the system. Why is that so important for people, especially young people today?
Well, I think the real reason is that there's so much skepticism in the world today. Everything gets challenged, and I think that's a good thing to a certain extent. But I think there's certain things when you just have to trust that the integrity of whatever that particular thing is there until it's not. Then you can question it. But don't just question it on the front end without really finding out, is it or isn't it? And I think too often, and I think these cell phones and technology, as great as it is probably as bad as anything else we've ever had. And it's, I get up, as you know, early every morning. By 4:30 in the morning or so, I'm out, well, now my oldest dog just passed away in August. I've got a brand new little one, and I have Daisy, who was the second one. But I usually am out walking them at that time in the morning. And I ran into a guy the other day. It's been about 4 weeks ago, I guess. And he's walking his dog with his damn cell phone in his hand at 4:30 in the morning. And I'm thinking, I don't get it. I don't. Why would you give up the opportunity to be out in the world at that hour when probably most people in my neighborhood aren't up, and have the quiet, peaceful ability to walk with your dog, and you're going to give it up to look at a damn cell phone and not pay attention to what you're there for? It just, I wanted to walk up to him and say, why don't you either go work on give me your dog, I'll walk, and you go work on your cell phone. But yeah, it's just amazing to me, and maybe it's because I'm too old. I don't know.
Well, it's
I don't think
fascinating.
so.
It's fascinating because she, her sister, there's 10 kids. She's number 10 of 10 kids.
Wow.
Raised Amish, so buggies, no cars, no electricity, any of that. Fascinating story.
Even more interesting.
Right? Right. And so we had one of the events, like we have 2 events at our property here in northern Indiana a year. Man, would it be cool to have you come out here, Tom? Man, would it be cool. Anyways, we're on the river, so we have about 500, feet of riverfront, and there's a pond, and so it's a beautiful place for healing and fun and all kinds of stuff. So we have all these decks, and one of them's a heart deck, so it's shaped in the heart, and then there's a big 30-foot waterfall beside it, and
wow,
yeah, it's crazy. And she's sitting in the swing with one of our clients, like he's beside her, and I didn't know, so I went over and shook her hand, and just being hospitable, and introduced myself, and we talked a little bit, and then I left, and then I walked away, and Mary, who turns out to be one of her older sisters, comes up and said, "Did you meet my sister?" And I'm like, "I don't know, like, who's your sister?" And she's like, "Nora, over there by the swing." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I met her." She's like, did you talk to her? I'm like, I don't know. I said, hi. She's like, no, you need to talk to her. I'm like, okay. I mean, she's like, yeah, she's going through a really tough time, and I think you could be of huge help to her. I'm like, okay, well, I can go deep if it's okay. She's like, it's okay, go deep with her. I'm like, okay. So I turn around, go over. She told me later she was really disappointed because her sister had really talked me up. This was an amazing guy. All I did is came up, talked to her, said bye, and walked away. And she's like, this guy's, he's just below normal. He's average. And so I go back and I say, hey, your sister said that, you're kind of going through a tough time. I mean, I'm happy to talk to you. And she's like, yeah. I mean, I said, is it okay to go deep? She's like, yeah. So I asked her the personality questions. And then I said, what's going on? And she said, well, yesterday, so this was a Saturday, so 4 months ago, roughly. So there was a Saturday she was there, and she said, yesterday, I got served my divorce papers from my husband.
Hmm.
And I'm like, wow, that sucks. Yeah. And then I said, well, tell me a little bit about everything. And she told me what was going on and stuff. And then she told me she was a pilot and she wanted to be medevac. And then I explained. So she's Tom, she's a double analytic in the geo and the
Wow.
pain, but her secondary in the geo, I believe, is driver, and the pain is her secondary is analytic or expressive. So she's a double analytic with a secondary of driver and a secondary of expressive.
What don't you have? I mean, you got the whole thing.
Right. And her gift and her heart is healing. Like she just like what you associate with the amiable. It's just so we go into that, and then I explain, I'm like, oh, this is why you want to be medevac, so the analytic, you like all the precision, you like all of this, and then the expressive, you like the thrill of potentially dying. And and then like I go through this, and she's just like, so then all of a sudden it's like this wham. I mean, there's this connection. And so, she'd gone through not only that, but a lot of the stuff, other stuff. So she'd been through a lot of hurt, from family and from Amish, where I've been hurt by Baptist, and like, so a lot of the stuff, a lot of the pain, and there's this connection. And so she said, I said, well, how much do you trust people? This was like a couple of weeks after we had met. And I said, well, how much do you trust people? And she said a 3. And I said, how much do you trust me? And she said a 10 within a few weeks.
Wow.
And I
Well,
told
that's
her,
easy
like
to
I told
understand.
him, what's that?
I said, that's easy to understand. But from my perspective, trusting you that much in such a short period of time.
Why can't other people do that, Tom?
That I don't know. I guess if I could answer that question, maybe it's because they're just not open. Maybe they're so protective of themselves, they're afraid to share something about themselves, and therefore they are standoffish to anybody else.
So then I say to her, like I said to, everybody I meet, I'm like, I love people. I just don't like them. Like, I don't like people. I love them, but I don't like them. And she just casually, like, she's just like, you'll like me. And I'm like, we'll see. And sure enough, within a few weeks, it goes from like a 3 to a 4, and then it's a 7.25, and it's not supposed to be higher than a 7.25, or people start going, oh, it's all weird. But it's a 10, and it's like, and so we're writing this book. We're writing this book, and it's titled Your Voice in My Headset, and it's about friendship. And it's my 18th book. And so, do you have any suggestions for Nora on being a co-author for me, Tom?
Just be open. I mean, just speak whatever you're thinking.
Okay.
And if you're open and honest and that also means if you disagree with something, you need to be open and honest about that also. You can't be one side without the other. In my estimation, that's totally impossible. You can't be honest with people and not be, and not have a negative side to it too. Just have to balance it out.
Nora, do you have
Okay.
any questions for Tom?
Yeah, what do you like with me starting a business and like what's one thing that you would tell me that you wish you would have known at my age that you know now that people miss?
I guess you're what, 29? Is
Yes.
that right? Yeah, I think one of the greatest things that I really have ever learned came out of a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And basically what it was is that, and I've known it before I was 29. I've read it and heard what I'm going to tell you, but I'm not sure I believed it at that point. But I do now, and I always have for a long time. And that is whatever your mind can conceive, and then what you can believe. And to me, belief is internalization of that. You can achieve. And the process of that is don't hold yourself back. Whatever is in your head, whatever is open, and you decide that you want to go for it, like your pilots and being a medevac and then being a commercial pilot, you've got to just internalize what it's going to take to make that happen. And then all of a sudden you're going to start to see that your outcome starts to change, and your behavior changes. And then when your behavior changes, your outcome changes. And so, yeah, just don't limit yourself. I think too often, too many times, people tend to limit themselves or to justify why they don't think they can do what they wanted to really do or achieve whatever they wanted to achieve.
What about Tom when other people around you hold you back? They don't mean to hold you back, they just do. And it could be a mom or a dad, it could be siblings, it could be friends, it could be a spouse. Like, what do you do? Not when people are purposely doing it, but what if you're wanting to grow and other people, it's like you know what I'm saying, Tom, or not?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do know what you're saying. And I think that, there are people that just, try to get you not to do things just to be mean. But what Mark's talking about is more or less comes from a parent or a relative or somebody that has experienced failure, what they think is failure, and they don't want you to experience that process. So they're trying to convince you that, that may be a reach. I'm not sure you could, maybe you should scale your thought process back. And what I found is that whenever you hear that kind of an analogy, you're on track to do something great. And you also know that at some point you are going to probably, in their terms, fail. But failure to me is just, that's one idea or one way I know won't work. So I'll learn from that and keep going forward with it. But I think when your closest relatives or friends are saying, maybe you shouldn't do that, or that, you really want to do, that's telling you that you're on the right track, and just keep pushing forward with it.
Right. And then,
Nice.
do you have any questions, Tom, for Nora or myself?
Oh God, I could probably come up with a ton of questions, but it's interesting because Donna, my wife, Nora, keeps saying, "Are you ever going to retire?" And I kept saying, well, even my boss a few years ago said, "How long you want to keep doing this?" And I said, "Well, maybe 5 years if my health holds out. That was 7 years ago. And there was a time last year when I thought that was going to be the last year, and it was because I wasn't feeling satisfied or the ability to use whatever talents I had wasn't being recognized. And so I thought, well, what the hell, I'll just get out and go do something else somewhere else. But some things changed, got some new leadership, and now I'm probably more energized now than I've been in a number of years to keep moving forward. And so I just turned 77. Could I do another 5 years? Yeah, I could probably. My goal, I read a book, or not a book, but I saw an article one time that scientists, and they had all different kinds of people, and they were actually studying the human body. And what they were looking at was, assuming we all know that there's diseases and, accidents and all that stuff, but they shoved that off to the side and said, how long could the human body, based on the way that it functions, what really is the livelihood of a human body? And what they came to conclusions, I think it was probably a little bit short, but what they came to conclusions is about 120 years. So I figure because I have had cancer and had some other things, I ought to be able to do about 110. And so that's kind of the goal I'm shooting for, is to, make it to 110.
Nice.
So we'll see how that all works out.
I like that.
So what's your goal?
Mine?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I haven't thought about that.
So how could I help you?
Not sure. Can you help me out?
Oh yeah.
I don't know unless you tell me what it is. So you've got my email address and my phone. Do you have my phone number?
I think so. Yeah.
So whenever you figure that out, you want to call and say, let me know.
Okay, I will. I will.
And then one final thing, Tom, not that this would ever happen to a double analytic. Okay. I'm just saying, if it ever happened, Tom, or she was a little nervous about, I don't know, the book and sharing it with other people, what advice would you give her about sharing it with other people to get other people's input? Like, what advice would you give Nora if she was a double analytic and she was a little cautious, a little scared, a little frightened, I don't know, it was too raw or whatever, hypothetically? What advice would you give her, Tom?
I would ask as many people as you can the questions that you want to know about your book, because I don't know, really the real content of the book, or how far you are, or what's going on with it. But what I do know is when you sit down and put a book together, especially when you're doing it with Mark, is it's not, you may have a subject matter that you're going after, but the subject matter is really right here, and it ends up being you, not the subject matter. And so, you want to make, if you're going to put an effort into that kind of a process, you want to make sure it's the best possible outcome that you can possibly make. And if you need to talk to other people to get that, that's what you need to do. Don't be afraid of anything, because what you might find out is that they may say something that will change everything for you. And it's not so much what they say, it's really how you interpret the question you're asking them and their answer to that question that could set you on another path that you never even thought about.
So I have a sense, a feeling that that we're going to have a number of these podcasts. And Tom, I appreciate you. I've appreciated you and all the impact. You have been truly a friend, and a level 4, like your vision and mine, I feel that they've interacted and fed one another. And I want to just tell you how much I appreciate you being there for all the good times, the hard times, all of the different pieces. And so thank you so much for the friendship and your investment into that and just everything. So I appreciate you,
Well,
Tom.
likewise, Mark. I feel the same way about you. So
Right.
anytime, it's I was actually really looking forward to getting together today. I'm sorry to see this coming to an end, but that's
Well, it's going to be fascinating. The three of us, Tom, like Nora, there's something, I don't know, there's something about her energy, her questions, just I don't know, just
I
about
can tell you
her.
what it is right now.
What is it?
Look at her face.
I know.
Look at her eyes. Look at that smile.
Right?
I mean, it's a glow.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got to play pickleball with her. She's furious.
Right?
That's one thing I have never played yet.
You need to
Is
do that,
pickleball.
Tom. I'm telling you, it's the new golf in business.
Well, it's interesting because I have a lot of associates that have one guy up in Canada. I mean, at any time he has a spare second, he's out there on a pickleball court. My ex-wife is trying to convince me to do it. She does it all the time with all of her friends in Utah, and it's like, what the hell is with pickleball? I don't.
No,
I couldn't
you'd
even
enjoy
play
it.
tennis well. I mean, I used to hit the ball over the fence with tennis. How can I get shorter court? And I don't know. Maybe I
Well,
need to check it out.
it's a wiffle ball. I'm telling you, I'm playing 5 times a week now.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm playing between 10 and 15, 17 hours a week.
Well, I guess I got to find a wiffle ball court somewhere around here. And
Right. And if you're able to, Tom, to come out here, we have an event in Oktoberfest. So we have 2 a year. But if you're ever in the area, love to stop by. And Nora's
well,
like
where are you in Indiana?
in northern Indiana, Elkhart, Indiana. So it's the Bristol. We're actually in the city of Bristol, but Nora can get you out the information, and she's 15 minutes from us. And there's so many people here that would.
So where do you fly into?
Is it?
He could fly into South Bend.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be that far. Or even Grand Rapids.
I've been to both of them.
Yeah.
Or if you'd go to a smaller airport, Three Rivers isn't far from here. I'm not 100% sure on how long their runway is, but.
So Nora and I and Rosanna and Nora's son are flying to Mackinac Island on Sunday. So we're taking a trip there and flying right into the island, flying right onto the island, spending the day there, and then flying back.
Nora's flying you in.
Uh-huh.
Good deal. Have you ever been there, Nora?
I've been to the island. I haven't flown there, but I've been there.
Yeah. I love that place. It's really, really, really beautiful. There was a movie about that facility, because something about time and
Right.
How that he fell in love with this lady and traveled in time, and it was a love story. And then he came back, and then all of a sudden he found something in his pocket that it was what, I can't remember the name of it. It was my mother's favorite movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we will have many more of these, Tom. Thank you so very much for your time and everything. It's always fun and enjoyable. And like you say, it doesn't matter how much time between. It's like we connect and like everything's just like we talked, yesterday. So thank you,
Well,
Tom.
I appreciate it. You've made my day. Nora, glad to meet you. Look forward to many more communications.
You too. It was nice to meet you.
All right. Take care, both of you. Be
Thank you.
healthy.